What up, all my fight fans? So, Dana White had a press conference today, talked about this upcoming weekend fights. And in this press conference, he did talk about this little situation that he's in. Well, not so little, it's actually getting a little bit bigger and such, I guess you could say. But he did speak on it. He spoke about him slapping his wife and over the New Year's weekend. And, he did mention and talked about how he has to pretty much deal with it, how he pretty much has to live with it, and how it's something that you just cannot walk away from. It's not something that you do get over. It is something that you do have to deal with for the rest of your life. And he is right. Any man who puts his hands on a woman, you are pretty much looked at like that, like a pretty much a man that beat up a woman or slapped a woman, whatever the case may be. You do lose that respect. You do lose a little. People, I'm sure people used to admire Dana. I'm pretty sure people used to admire him as a businessman and such whatnot. And yeah, they probably kind of look down on him a little bit too. And rightfully so, because at the end of the day, regardless of what she did first, I know what people have been saying. They've been saying it to all over the podcasts, all over the comments, and all in my podcast too, that she hit him first. Still, guys, let's really be honest. Was Dana in any real danger? Was Dana White's life at risk? No, he wasn't. No, it wasn't. At the end of the day, he is still a grown man hitting a woman. Nonetheless, I don't want to hear that stuff. I really don't, because at the end of the day, he was in no real serious danger, and he should have never done that. He had every right, every reason to walk away and become the bigger person. You know, at that's it. Bottom line, walk away. He is not, his life is not being threatened at that moment. In the moment, he acted in the heat of action, and that was the very wrong move to do. And he even agrees to this day. He even said it in the press conferences that he doesn't understand why people are defending him. He has no defense whatsoever. That's right. He has nothing to defend. He is actually owning up to it, which is something you got to be very respectful for. You got to respect that 100%. Taking ownership. Dana White could have very easily be quiet right now and not say anything. He could be one of those just like, okay, well, let me just wait for this to blow over, then come back and act like if nothing is happening. No, he's actually facing the music. So that's something that you definitely do got to respect. You really, really do. So, but what I've been hearing in different outlets is what people are saying, like how the business isn't as big as the NFL or NBA, and how, you know, even what Dana White's saying, well, if I step away because this is what he said, then it's really not much of a lesson. Like he's not, the repercussions of him stepping away isn't really gonna say much. Well, here's the thing. First, I want to say about that whole business model that they have regarding that. Honestly, my personal opinion is yes, it is. It may not cost as much. Overall, the NFL part is cost worth billions, if not almost trillions of dollars. One team is probably worth $1 billion. Um, Maybe overreacting a little bit on the trillions part. But yes, are they do they cost more? Yes. But are they as big? Yeah, in some ways, yes, they are, but other ways, no. Because I promise you, more people will probably be looking at the UFC than UFC events and UFC pay-per-view than some baseball games, some basketball games, some football games. I promise you. And fighting has always been a big, big sport, whether it's boxing or mixed martial arts. It's always been up there. We always tune into fights more than regular sports. People actually that don't even watch fights even hear of some of the fighters' names. I can name 5 fighters in less than 5 seconds more fast than I can name 5 football players, and that's what some people even have to this day. Some people that don't necessarily they watch football but they don't follow it. They don't know a whole lot of people's names, or they can name a lot of players within the teams. Well, football, basketball, baseball, whatever you want to call it. But I guarantee you they can name fighters very much easier. Very easier. It's just that much popular. It really is. The status, they are all equal. All equal. Football, maybe not cost that much, maybe not as worth as much, but I promise your status is right there. Right there next to the MLB, NBA, NFL, whatever you want to say. It's right there. That's how big your pay-per-view status is. you know, so, or pay-per-view, fight status, fight night status, wherever you want to call it. So the reason why they probably don't get as much respect as what they're thinking is because they're not treating enough respect for themselves. If you really think about it, when Conor McGregor threw that dolly through the window, what punishment or how was it treated? It was treated as, hey, he was paraded. He was like, all right, well, here you go. Here's a fight with Khabib, and you're gonna get paid the biggest you've ever got paid. There was nothing. He was not reprimanded whatsoever, you know, for his actions. Jon Jones, these guys get reprimanded outside of the cage. They don't get reprimanded inside the cage. When they get suspended for drugs, for steroids, I should say, excuse me, they are getting suspended from the commissions, not necessarily from the UFC. So the UFC, it just feels like they don't do nothing. So it's hard to respect that. When we see actions, when we see certain things happen within the NFL, within the MLB, within the NBA, and the players do something disrespectful, whether it's inside the court or inside the field, whatever you want to call it, or outside, those organizations actually do something. They lay out statements like, oh no, we are going to do this. We are going to act this way. We are going to reprimand this person this way. You know, they don't allow it to slide. They don't allow it to use. They don't use it to build their publicity. And it just feels like that's what the UFC has done for so long. And now when we look at Dana White, what can be done? Well, a lot could be done. You need to show that this is not a stand. You know, a lot of people are saying, well, you just want his job. You want him to get fired. Not necessarily. We want to see what you would do to another person that did this. You know, when a fighter comes out, man or woman, and they do something so stupid, because this was a stupid action to do, we want to see what you would do. You know, what would you do if you're in that position? You know, if you were in that position, which he is in that position, when a fighter does something to another person, whether it be their spouse, whether it be a regular everyday Joe, you know, whether it be anything, what are you going to do to that person? If a fighter does just so happens to hit his wife, what are you going to do? Are you going to just like, oh, well, it's terrible and, you know, I can't punish him or I can't discipline them because it's not going to solve anything because that's what Dana White said. Like, no, you need to show some type of action. You really do. And that's something that Dana White needs to go through. He's like, hey, whatever I would put my punishment or whatever I'm going to do to my employees, I expect the exact same results. That's just all we're saying. Because it just seems so weird when Jon Jones, when Conor McGregor, when all these other fighters that have gone through something like this, it was spoken about by Dana White, and now he is speaking about it, but just there's no repercussions being made. And that's just the only thing that we want to see be done. You know, so I know what other people are saying there. Well, he hit her first. She hit her first. She hit him first. Excuse me. She hit him first. Yes, I know, and she is very wrong for doing that as well. It was definitely not a justified action. Regardless, you cannot just hit people because you don't like what they say. You know, at the end of the day, it's like, no, you just don't do that. It's called assault, and you could go to jail for that if it went there. But you still don't strike a woman, no matter what. No matter what, you do not strike a woman. You know, it's like there's no need for that. No need for that. Two wrongs does not make a right. Two wrongs does not make a right, regardless of what day and age we're living in, regardless of this whole equal rights we're living in, regardless of what year it is. It doesn't matter. Two wrongs never make a right. And that's just my personal opinion. I would like to hear your guys' opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, just let me know in the comments, guys. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.